One of the most talked about changes this edition is the introduction of legacy profiles, and with the armies of Middle-Earth arriving, so have the legacies. We go through the profiles, how they work, and most surprisingly, brand new legacy army lists.
Hello and welcome to Striding Edge Games. I am Julian.
I'm Boris.
And we are here talking about the surprise release.
Expected but surprising.
Yeah, it was hot on the heels of the pre-order for the Armies of Middle-Earth.
Yep.
On Friday, before the day of release of Armies of Middle-Earth, they dropped the 2 PDFs for the Legacies of Middle-Earth.
It was great. It was great. I mean, it was annoying. I had quite a lot to do at work that day, and I had to excuse myself.
Yeah, I was quite busy.
Through. It's here because it's digital and we haven't printed it out, sadly.
Yes, we have them on phones.
Yes, that's not very exciting to look at. But yes, we have the Legacies of Middle-Earth, which is, we have gone through the Armies of Middle-Earth, which is the third book, and everything that has been added to the game. And we have effectively an unofficial fourth book.
Yeah,
two half books, one for good, one for evil, documents of everything that is, I guess first, going, what is a legacy?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically things that are left over, perhaps, that don't necessarily have like a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Or whether they feel like they've basically kind of moved beyond them rules-wise, or I strongly believe a lot of them are just down to wanting to reduce the range.
I think
things,
so. That
and make space to release new stuff.
That would be my guess. Maybe they have a set number of models or barcodes that the Middle-Earth has allowed as a team.
There's only so many storage bays in the warehouse or something, you know.
To bring anything new in, maybe they have to retire an old kit. I don't know. I think, it's hard to... Sometimes I was trying to think of, is it what has been no longer sold? But I'm sure there are profiles in the three main books, as it were, that
haven't been sold for
a while, but have a full profile. But
yeah, and there's Forge World models that were up until very recently available for purchase,
and now
they're gone.
Now they're in the Legacies. So yeah, it's something that has come from other game systems that Games Workshop have done. It is a effective, not a writing off, but an underlining of whatever's in the Legacies, saying here's one final set of profiles for this edition, and then they're never being updated again, which is a real shame. But if it does mean that we are getting new content and models, particularly because of it, I can live with that, I think. But it does mean that we've had a fourth kind of big infusion to this edition of new profiles and surprise plot twist lists, new Legacy Army lists that I don't think anyone was really expecting.
Well, and also I mean, the thing with Middle-Earth is different to some of the other games in the way that, you know, lots of people play it and lots of people play it with their own kind of values behind it. And, you know, in the UK there is the Great British Hobbit League, who filled in the gap in the sort of interim years where the game was very much unsupported. So, you know, there's a lot of events out there where people will just do their own thing. And lots of events have said, we'll allow the legacies to be used. And then the very exciting thing is we, like you just said, it's not just profiles, they actually put lists in this book.
Yeah, really surprising. They must have, you know, someone at Games Workshop authorised the design team to spend however long it was, work hours on producing effectively lists for models that they no longer sell and would earn no money from.
I mean, a couple of the lists are just kind of pretty straightforward ports. But there are also actually brand new lists, which is really exciting.
It's ones we've never seen before in the game, or I don't think in the time we've been in the game have never seen before, and I can't remember being an explicit list, but we'll get on to those.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a straightforward book. In similar ways to the Armies of Middle-Earth, there's a bunch of new profiles. Those profiles can be mostly included in other army lists. Whether they're in Armies of Middle-Earth, I don't think there's anything that's Hobbit. But it's probably Armies of Middle-Earth and Armies of Lord of the Rings. But there are also some lists within the book as well. So there's a few. Super cool. There's a few kind of wholesale factions which were taken out of the game. All three are evil ones.
I think
it's Khan, Dunland, and Farharad.
Yes, so they're gone. They're not in any of the main books, but they have come back with full lists, not just profiles,
Yes.
which is really cool. And quite a few of them, or all of them, the legacy document tells you which army lists in the 3 main books you can just plug them into, which is brilliant news. So anything casual at home, use them to your heart's content. And most big events, as you said, in the UK at least, have said from the off that they're going to support the legacies and include them. It's a pretty standard rule that you don't get to use legacy units at official Games Workshop events, which is a shame, but that's how they draw a line under it. And it's only really, Throne of Skulls and the doubles, and there's only a few a year that are actually run officially by Games Workshop in the UK. So I think most people probably, I don't know, it's a guess, a lot of people probably go to community events where these will be fully valid. So this is great. In terms of the game, again, it's kind of shaken things up. If this had come out in a few months' time, I think the armies of Middle-Earth would have settled a little bit, and then this would have been another great big shake-up. But actually, them both coming at the same time has felt like
It's quite a lot.
Christmas.
We were just trying to quickly count it up, but there's a lot more evil profiles being added. In part, I think it is because there's like 3 whole factions that have been squatted.
Yeah.
But also just, there's quite a wild amount of things. Certain units have gone back in. So like for Rohan, who had their selection of warriors, which was quite broad in the last edition.
It wasn't bad.
It's definitely one of the broadest.
Yeah.
If you could buy Sons of Earl.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, yeah.
But so there was 4, 5 warriors on foot, riders, Royal Guard.
Yep.
But so now those are back as well, so you can take those.
Yeah, which is really nice to see.
And then in evil, there's just like a bunch of things. Surprisingly, it seems like it's kind of split. There's a lot of things that will go into the Army of the Great Eye, and quite a lot of them won't go into Legions of Mordor.
Yeah. I think
whether there's a logic behind that,
I don't know. Combined with, we haven't done a full count up, but combined with the armies of Middle-Earth, I'm kind of thinking it's either Army of the Great Eye or Legions of Mordor, which I think is probably going to be the most populous list in the game in terms of it's going to be
profiles.
Loads of profiles in it. It's going to be a huge army, like kind of toolbox to kind of play with, which would be, it's really nice to see. And yeah, like you say, it's goes against the convention so far. Armies of the Hobbit in particular, but Armies of Lord of the Rings and Armies of Middle-Earth have been skewed towards more good profiles and more good lists because the book
the main
and
characters.
the films are written from the point of view of the good guys. The legacy documents, I think it's over three times as many evil profiles.
I think there's probably maybe coming up to 60 evil profiles.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm looking at the book. But there's maybe 60 odd evil profiles and 24, 25 something good. We didn't actually count them, but just a rough estimate.
Rough guess, yeah. So that's really cool to see. And as you say, things like Canned are back as an entire faction and have their own kind of legendary Legion style army list.
Yeah, which has some good bonuses over
so they've actually had a bit of a buff. So if you had a Canned army and it wasn't in Armies of Middle-Earth and you're a bit sad about not being able to use your cool chariots anymore, rejoice. Unless you were particularly keen on going to Games Workshop events, you're back in business and with a buff probably and updated rules to the new edition. So that's really cool.
Can still do that. As we say, I mean, there's a lot in the book.
Yeah.
Book. Yeah, sorry. There's a lot in 2 PDFs that are available from the Games Workshop website. But there's a number of sort of fan favourites that maybe got cut out cruelly.
Yeah, we're not going to go through every profile and have a look at what they were like compared to last time because there's too many. It'd be a 3-hour-long video. But
compared to last time, they're almost all exactly the same as they were before.
Yeah. There's only a few. I think it's a good point to say that we're not, I'm definitely not a kind of match play or competitive expert in terms of balance and what's good. But generally the reception has been that definitely we come from Heresy, Horus Heresy, and the legacies there were broken into, they were so bad you only took them if you specifically loved that unit, or they were
hilariously broken.
A straight upgrade on a unit you could already take. So unless you wanted to take the other unit, it was just a straight upgrade to your army. and you would never not take them unless you were going to an event that didn't allow them. The reception has been really positive in that they are pretty well balanced. One, if you care about that sort of thing, but two, you don't want to be playing with broken units, even against your friends, because it just leads to no fun. But I think it's a reflection of how stable this game is.
I mean, yeah,
across 20 years.
It speaks to Middle-Earth's quality as a game system.
They are mostly kind of not copy-paste, but slow, just gently ported across. But a good few, quite a lot have had a little tweak here and there. Obviously, they've all had an intelligence stat added, but a few have had a little tweak here and there. Just something to kind of massage it into the new game system.
I think most of the warrior profiles are broadly the same, and I think it's the heroes that are kind of, they've changed a bit. I mean, for good, again, as we say, there's not so many, but one of the ones that was returned and has changed is the Knight of the White Tower, who's a favourite, as one of the first Gondor models that we finished, or Gondor heroes we finished painting.
Yeah.
And he's been quite improved, actually.
I think so. I mean, his old rule was basically what is now the two-hander rule for the entire game. But his rules are pretty great. He's fight 5 now, base, I think.
Yeah, I think he was before, wasn't he?
He might have been before, but
no. He's fight 6 now.
Ooh, okay, there you go.
So he's had a buff in that regard.
Yeah.
He has Mighty Blow baked into his sword.
Pretty great.
And if he's fighting in combat with a hero, he can re-roll a d6. He's got like half of Lord of the West.
Yeah. That's pretty great.
All of that for 75 points, and like a Gondor captain's not far off 75 points.
Yep. He doesn't have shield wall, I suppose, but
he doesn't have shield wall. No. He can go in atop the walls.
Yeah.
Which was going to be interesting. Like him and Gandalf, that could be a nice combo.
On top of the wall, taking off heads as they come up the ladders.
Get like a transfix, and then he just smashes
great.
someone. So yeah, like a really nice addition to that. In terms of like evil stuff, there's all of the named ring wraiths are back, which were always a slightly weird, like.
Well, they were a Games Workshop invention.
Yeah, they were like a side grade. I mean, the only named ring wraith in any of the books is Kamal.
And the Witch King, I guess.
Well, yeah, but that's not his name.
Yeah, true.
Kamal presumably is his name.
I see what you mean, yeah.
But yeah, so they're all in. They're still, I mean, especially with the changes to ring wraiths now, where you can have the variable stat profiles and they can actually be quite decent because they can have multiple attacks.
Yep.
The named ones are expensive and maybe not that great, but they have their special super secret buff.
Yep. They have a special rule each, and they do different things. They all have different magic lists, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, and like the Betrayer still buffs poison, so maybe you take him in a Harad army and things like that. So yeah, they're there. In the other sort of evil magic stakes, Kardouche is still amazing.
Yeah.
I think his rules are exactly the same.
Possibly, but he can eat other orcs and regain will almost indefinitely as long as you have orcs.
He still casts Flame Burst on a 3-up for some reason.
Really cool.
So that's good.
Why not?
Who else? Oh, well, your favourite, Grimbold.
Yeah. Gotta love him.
He's still there. He's still good. He's still strength 5?
Oh, I can't remember, but he's got...
he's got Burly.
And I don't think he's got Mighty Blow, but he's decent. I just like his model. Strength 4. I like his model, and he can upgrade...
no, not Burly. Sorry, he's just got Mighty Blow.
Mighty Blow, right.
But you can still do the Helmingas.
Yes.
So he can have Rohan warriors who are strength 4.
Yep.
He can go in Kingdom of Rohan and Fords of Eisen.
Which makes narrative sense. He's at the Fords of Eisen in the timeline.
Erkenbrand is still there.
And does pretty much the same thing.
He's still a steal for 90 points.
Yeah, he's got the horns. Really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the horn. He comes with a horse.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty good. And anyone sort of other ones? Oh, my favourite, I do like the changes. Again, his change is the Golden King of Abrakan. He was always kind of weird and nutty before.
It's a strange profile.
And he's become nuttier now. He's got 6 will, I think.
Yep.
He can spend a point of will if he loses the fight and you can't strike him.
He's kind of a soft Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, like it's 6 turns of combat of not being able to wound him, assuming he's lost the combat as well, right? Like,
he's lost his fairly unique base structure of 2 25 mil bases.
Yeah, he's just on one big base.
He's just on one big base now, which is a bit of a shame, but kind of makes sense, I suppose. Yeah, we've got some other, like Barlin is back, and I don't know if he's changed a bit, but he was always in what was the Kingdom was Khazad-dûm, you could go the Durin route or the Balin route, and he's back in Legacies.
Yeah,
which is good to see.
I think he's almost exactly the same.
I think so.
Yeah. He's probably overpriced, but meh.
He's got some fun stuff.
He's
and
Balin.
I really like his model. The miniature's really good for Balin.
And they've changed Floy, probably for good, because there were some strange interactions with his old rules.
Oh, where you could turn off.
He just turned off
abilities.
an active ability.
Yeah, that was wild.
It was quite a sort of feel bad kind of thing sometimes, when you just be
100%.
like, "Oh yeah, your special thing, like that's not going to happen."
Yeah.
Really but good. So now he just he can choose an enemy model, and for that turn, friendly models within 6 of him gain a bonus of +1 wound against the model.
Yeah, that's
when
very good.
Striking and making shooting attacks.
Okay, that could be really good.
So for the shooting part, it's particularly
And
wild.
dwarves can take strength 3 dwarf longbows, can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or strength 3 throwing weapons.
It's only a 12-inch thing.
Yeah.
And also, he now can get will back if he witnesses the death of a hero or a monster, an enemy hero or a monster.
That's why not, eh?
Because he writes it down in his little book, and then he's like, "Oh, excellent."
That's great. I feel refreshed.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's, we could keep going. There's quite a lot of profiles.
But it's a good example of one where, because Legacies would have been very easy to be like, well, they're not allowed to spend any time on it because they're not making any money from it technically.
Give everyone an intelligence stat, and
everyone gets an intelligence stat copied from somewhere else, and everything is copy pasted into a new PDF and never thought of again. But actually, Floy, for example, has had a rebrand, a refresh.
Yeah, and
his rules have had an update, probably for the better. Quite a lot of other people have had their old rules, if they were good, have mostly stayed the same, and if they were a bit dodgy or a bit boring, they've had a slight upgrade. It's just really great to see.
Yeah, and I mean, as we said, that the Knight of the White Tower has actually had his fight value buffed.
Yeah.
So they have actually done more than just Control-C, Control-V.
Yeah, which is really good to see.
Which is cool.
It's a weird collection of what's gone into Legacies, but they didn't announce it when the edition change was announced.
Yeah.
So some things like, is it Goroth and Zagdush?
Yeah, which
were quite nice, newish Forge World.
Newish, yeah. I mean, I suppose
miniatures.
Gondor at War is like 2021 or something. But
yeah, it was a while ago. But they were newish. They weren't 20 years old.
Yeah.
And they were sort of premium Forge World miniatures.
Considering they're still selling the Rivendell Warrior and Moria Goblin kits, which are literally 25 years old.
Yeah. Anbor and Mablung from the Rangers, they've gone into Legacies as well. Sure, but I'm pretty sure they're named in the book as well. But so I think it must be a production capacity thing.
Yeah, they just didn't want to keep maintaining that many lists.
What wasn't selling, or what they didn't have plans for in the future, or something. Whatever the criteria was, this is what we've ended up with. But
Something's been dropped.
It's really lovely to see that they've put some thought and some love into porting over the profiles. And more excitingly, as we said before, some new lists, which actually I think we've got a group chat with Thomas and James, and sort of announced it. And I had a quick look at work, and one of you said, oh my God, there's lists as well, not just profiles. And some of them are, as I said, lists that are, or Legendary Legion army lists in this book. What were Legendary Legions, just replacing what was a faction before. So Canned now is a full-blooded army list with an army bonus. Dunland is just the old Legendary Legion, Army of Dunland. But some of them are brand new, which for a Legacies document is fantastic. There's one I'm quite keen on, the Fields of Celebrant, which is the sort of pre-history of Rohan.
Yeah, it was kind of a soft list before, because there was a thing that the only Green Alliance, if you took Earl the Young, for those who aren't familiar, the Fields of Celebrant were when the Earl and his Airfed marched to Gondor's aid against the Wayne Riders that were possibly Khand, I don't know.
A bunch of forest dudes with axes turned up to help Gondor.
Against people from the east that had chariots. And then in thanks, the steward of Gondor...
Yeah, not the king.
...gave Earl the Young and his people this kingdom of Rohan, basically, and that's how Rohan's established. And in the previous rules, you could do that.
Yeah, it's actually an example of where the Alliance Matrix kind of was at its limits last edition. So last edition, you had Rohan as a list with everything in it that was Theoden, all the people, blah, blah, blah. Earl the Young was, Earl the Young was a unit in it, but he specifically in his profile had to have this big bit of text that said, if you put him in a list with anyone else, he breaks the thing and it turns a red alliance.
Yeah,
but
you
if
can only have him as your named character and
only a
no
named
other
character,
named characters.
You could have captains and da-da-da. And then you could also ally with Gondor, and if you ally with Gondor with no named captains and only kings of men, then it was a green alliance, da-da-da-da-da. And it was quite a lot of kind of homework.
Yeah, and there were questions of
Just to represent, and it needed a designer's note to basically be like, this is to represent this one specific battle where the Kingdom of Rohan was founded, or after it was founded, before it was founded after. And now that's just an army list, which is really easy. And it just says, you can take this, this, and this, and it's now got, and this is your bonus. And it's a really nice little fluffy list.
Yeah, and you can take Earl the Young. He's still pretty good. You can take Sons of Earl, who are very good.
Very good still.
Really, for the points. They're kind of wild.
Yep.
And then you get some little bonuses for having some Gondor in there. And
Yeah,
it's neat.
It's a fun, as you say, sort of hammer and anvil. You kind of almost, you want to take a battle line of Gondor on foot with the king in the middle, and then some nutty boys on horses zooming around.
Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, another one that's sort of similar is there's the Spider Queen list, which is an addition, but it's also sort of the fell beings of Mirkwood. But it's very specifically spiders, and it's great. And
it's a slight return of the fell beings of Mirkwood. Another one that's returned is the Assault on Lothlorien, which was dreaded in the competitive scene for about 6 months until it got FAQ'd. Was very powerful, apparently. So it's back, and I think in its FAQ'd form, so it's still not as powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't have more goblins than orcs.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think what happened was people took a bunch of like the beastie stuff because they're pretty good, and then goblin bowmen
to get the bonus at shooting at night.
So now it's like if you want some beasts and goblin bowmen, you still got to take some orcs.
Yeah, which is
like
good
you've got to pay the orc tax.
Yeah,
to,
it's good to see.
Get
good
there.
To see. But that's a nice one to come back. The Spider Queen or Fell Beings, whichever it is, that's nice because we've had people on our Discord asking, saying before this Legacy document came out, saying, "I want the spiders back. I've got a bunch of spider models."
And also, again, a bit like the Khazad-dûm in the Armies of Middle-Earth, it actually now has some like little markers that you have to put down that represent the spider webs.
Super cool.
Which is really nice and thematic.
Really looking forward to seeing what people do hobby-wise. It's a bit like the Dwarven mirrors in the Armies of Middle-Earth.
Yeah, everyone went wild with 3D print already. Of like,
well, I've seen a
few
just kind of handcrafted that are really nice.
Nice ones,
really good to
see. We're really excited about the really stupid inclusion of the Battle of Green Fields.
Oh, it's going to be great.
So, Banderbrus took and the Goblin Warlord Golfin?
Chieftain, Goblin, Warlord, whatever you call them.
They are quite old models, but they were featured in the Scouring of the Shire supplement that came out in the last edition. But you can now have a Legendary Legion themed around both of them.
Yeah, one each, and it's from literally the throwaway line in, is it The Hobbit, where Gandalf says you're a Took, your great ancestor. Banderbrus Took.
Was so large he could ride a horse.
Yeah, and knocked the goblin's head off, and in the same moment invented golf. Yes. Went down a rabbit hole. So that line has spawned 2 army lists, and I genuinely really love them. We've got like 8 Hobbit models in a box somewhere, so we need to get a whole bunch more Hobbits, but you can have...
and see if we can find the 2 heroes.
Yes, who knows, if someone wants to donate them, feel free, but I think that's a lovely list, and actually I think a sleeper... Well, I think Battle of Bywater and Armies of Middle-Earth is a sleeper hit, and also actually the Battle of Greenfields, potentially just such a lovely thematic idea.
I mean, it allows you to take Rangers of the North with Shire archers as well, which is always a fun little combination.
And all the hobbits can throw stones. You could have a ridiculous amount of shooting.
Yeah, and Banderbrus himself is low-key not terrible.
Yeah, he's still only like...
He's also not great, but like, I mean...
3. Does he gets a free heroic combat or something?
I think the army list gives him that.
Yeah.
If he rolls a 6 to wound, it's 2 wounds.
So he's got a very intermittent mighty blow.
He's riding a horse, which is pretty wild. For 50 points, he's riding a horse.
Yeah, I mean, that's... so his profile effective is only 30 points.
Yeah, I mean, most heroes pay 20 points for a horse.
Yeah.
Yes, he gets a heroic combat each turn for free.
Wow.
I mean, he's still a hobbit.
Yeah, he's got to win first.
But if you've got a ranger in there, they get their normal 2 attack bonus.
Hey, it's not bad at all.
Friendly hobbits within 3 inches of Banderbus get dominant 2, which is cool.
You know.
And I really like they get the bounders rule, which is whilst within their own deployment, friendly hobbits may reroll to hit rolls of a 1 when making strikes.
It's pretty powerful.
No, sorry, when making shooting attacks.
Oh, very powerful.
I misread that.
Because they shoot on most 3 up, right?
They're 3 up, yeah.
Yeah, so you're 3 up, 3 rolling 1s. That's huge.
It's pretty good.
Wild.
But it's only hobbits, not the rangers.
Well, yeah, that would be nuts. But yeah, it's a really good example of just a lovely little list that they absolutely didn't need to add in. I don't know how many people are going to run them, but I think I would, if you'd asked me again 6 months ago, or just pre-edition change.
Greenfield's meta is what it is.
Well, well, even what are your expectations for the legacy document? Because we've known it's coming.
I strongly assumed that it would just be some profiles.
Or a copy paste with no thought put into it, no extra thought put into it, or allowed to be put into it. Because I think the design team are incredibly passionate and hardworking.
Yeah.
But it's how long they're allowed to spend. I'm sure their attention is diverted between 1,000,001 different projects, and obviously, someone might want to spend 6 months of production time working and tweaking Battle of Greenfield's Legendary Legion to be perfect, but.
Yeah, I mean, I assume they didn't play test it much, but
Who knows? But if you'd asked me pre-edition launch what my expectation was, it would have been minimum allowed effort or allowable input, copy paste of profiles with nothing updated, and a very lackluster community reception. It's been wildly more than that. We've had really thoughtful and excellent profile updates and inclusions. Whole new armies, and then whole new, reintroduced armies with tweaks, and then entirely new armies on top of that, which has both been really fantastic to see.
Yeah, and I mean, I really like the fact that they've kind of recognised that people still love these profiles and units, and that they've actually redone the legacies. I mean, Games Workshop could have just been like, yeah, these are gone.
Yeah. Quite easily.
Be done.
I mean, I think it's partially to reflect Middle-Earth in more so than almost any Games Workshop system. You can have an old shoebox with 20-year-old miniatures in and pull them out, and up until very recently, have been absolutely able to play them.
Yeah.
So I think this is just an attempt to keep that legacy, to use the right term. Which is great.
I mean, I think it's like I think we said in the previous one, Erkenbrand is in this list. I don't think you've been able to buy him for like 10 years.
Yeah, and he was really good. He's like hen's teeth. He's been expensive. I don't own him as a Rohan fanboy. I still don't own Erkenbrand. If anyone has one they want to sell me for RRP, I'll
like 2007 prices.
Yeah, that'd be
ideally.
Great. That'd be great. No, not really. He'd be nice to own. Grimbold is my more design. Luckily, he went on last chance to buy, and I managed to grab him last.
But he was still available.
But he's more the model. I love Erkenbrand's good, but the model's fine. Whereas Grimbold's quite for Rohan, he's quite unique looking.
Yeah, he's cool, and the idea of a Rohan hero who's meant to be on foot only is kind of cool as well.
Yeah, I think it's great.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's actually a really exciting time to get into Middle-Earth.
I think
dig out your shoeboxes.
Dig out your old shoeboxes. If you have one from when you were 12 in 2005, every single model in there is probably playable. Almost certainly. I can't think of anything that doesn't at least have a legacy profile. I'm sure someone will spot something and point it out.
I mean, it's also worth saying that the beauty of Middle-Earth is if you bought the release box
for the entire game
in the year 2001,
yeah.
All of the units in it are totally playable.
Well, and slightly depressingly, those are the most up-to-date miniatures for those units as well. because it's elves, now Numenorians, and goblin warriors.
And also, if you do have the release box, don't try and play those two forces against each other.
No.
It is not a good matchup.
No, it's like equal numbers of goblins versus elves and Numenorians.
We have talked about, we would actually kind of want to do a game where we try and make something out of that. But I feel like we're going to need scenario rules. Otherwise, it's just hilarious.
Maybe the goblins can just keep coming back on.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But so I mean, that's that. Is the Legacies document kind of almost feels like a celebration of the legacies of Middle-Earth. Maybe that was what they were going for.
Maybe we were reading too much into it and it was just the design team are very talented and this was 2 hours work for them.
Yeah, or maybe they always wanted to change them, or
Who knows?
It's cool though.
It's great.
It's just quite pleasing.
It's great to see, and as you say, it feels like we have properly started the new edition now. We've got we've had the 2 first books for 6 months now. Armies of Middle-Earth has come out and added a whole ranch of new profiles and lists in particular, and then Legacies has been the kind of cherry on top of bringing back a lot of fan favourites at a really well considered and balanced setup. And yes, balance I think is the right word. They all intermix very nicely.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, with these 3 books and the PDFs, it raises an interesting question of where does the game go next?
I mean, there's got to be supplements on the way.
Yeah, I mean, and we think the obvious one is going to be a war in Rohan.
War of the Rohirrim.
War of the Rohirrim, sorry, yeah. Probably. I mean, if we go back to their thing of, like, there's only going to be units which are in the movies, in that film there are Dunlanding wild men riding horses. There's no miniatures of those.
Yeah, that's very true.
Don't know what else.
Well, I guess that's where the fledgling came from. That film.
Yeah, the fledglings from there. But just even some scenarios, a bit more than what's in here.
I mean, the kind of Siege of the Hornburg first edition or first
Siege
take
minigame.
one Siege minigame would be really cool. Rohirrim versus Mumax again, be cool.
Yeah.
Just kind of a pitch battle outside of Edoras. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. And then from there, honestly, who knows? They've gone in great cycles of things. We were just looking at the not Depths of Moria,
Shadow and Flame
supplement from a long while ago. And I know that has been a fan favourite from the community for a good long while. And actually, we read through it this afternoon. It's got some really good scenarios, really interesting stuff. It's got like maps of the kind of quest that the Fellowship took through Moria. It's got like a map-based campaign almost with like a linked,
it has like a little four game campaign.
Yeah,
sort of with Barlin's expedition going back in.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an exciting one because they could redo Barlin's model.
Ooh.
And you could have like, I think because Ori and Nori go with him and some others possibly. So you could have some old versions of the Hobbit characters.
Even older Barlin.
Yeah, and even older Barlin.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe a more like rough and ready expeditionary dwarf force. They could look cool with like backpacks and stuff.
Yeah. More Rangers style sort of thing. Yeah.
More Rangers styled. I mean, there's lots of exciting kind of
the
things.
Sky's the limit. I think obviously we need another Rohan supplement with another 18
Rohan.
Rohan
Really just doesn't have enough lists.
I am an unashamed fanboy, so that's fine. I think we could probably talk for 2 hours about what we think is going to come out next. So we'll save you your ears and wrap up there. But in general, the Legacies have been a lovely surprise and really well received by us and I think by the wider community. And I think, very easy guarantee that you will be seeing Legacies on the channel. We always said that, but I think if they were no fun, if they didn't really work and they were a bit rubbish, we would have just maybe brought in the stuff that was we really liked the models for or really suited a narrative scenario we wanted to do. But I could see at least half the lists on both documents being really fun to play.
Or just adding some of the models back into other lists.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We don't know what order any of this will be out in, but we recently played a game with the army of Gothmog.
Yes.
Which, spoiler alert, is not the best army in the game. But you've got a few more choices now.
You can put a shaman in him.
You can put shaman. You've got Goroth is actually a pretty decent hero. He's
Yeah.
in the Legacies. He's quite strong. He's got a two-handed weapon.
Yep.
He's decent.
He's decent. Yeah, he's cool.
And yeah, like I mean, I think it's just kind of broadened out a few things, which
Yeah,
maybe
it's great.
felt a bit more narrow.
For sure.
Or you can take Legions of Mordor and basically drown in choices.
Go to town, and you're basically almost back up to. I would probably say back up to the old Mordor army list, non-legendary Legion. You've got so many choices, which is great.
Too many choices.
Too many
I mean,
choices.
in the old book, the Mordor army list was split between two factions.
Yes, Barad-dûr and Mordor, because it was so vast. Yeah.
And Angmar, actually, I think. Wasn't there something in there?
Well, the Angmar had their own army list as well. But yeah, you will definitely see legacies on the channel. It will be really interesting to see. I mean, we talked about it we've done a video on the Armies of Middle-Earth book, so it should be out at the same time, but you haven't seen it, go and check that out. We talked a little bit about the Road to Rivendell, which in the Armies of Lord of the Rings was a really strange little list. It only had Aragorn, Arwen, the four hobbits, and then Butterbur and
I think the
Harry
most you
Goatliff.
could do was either 500 or 600 points.
And it was really strange. Most of it was on foot.
Apart from Arwen.
Apart from Arwen, she couldn't put Frodo, or she could put Frodo on the Asphodel.
No, I think she could take him.
She could take him. Okay, so that was the one little bonus. It didn't really give you much, and it was just a strange. What's this list meant to be? And I think we talked about it in our original overview videos of the Armies of Lord of the Rings. Armies of Middle Earth then adds in. Is it Glorfindel?
No.
No.
Weirdly, no.
Oh,
because he should be.
Yes. No, because
Book-wise.
Arwen's there. Yes, because it's
But you can take Gildor in Glorian.
Gildor. Both begin with G.
Who they like Sam and Frodo and Merry. No, just Sam and Frodo meet.
Yes.
In the Shire.
Yep.
And you can take Tom Bombadil and Goldberry.
And Goldberry. So then that starts to become really. I mean, even though none of them really met at the same time, but sure.
But you can sort of snowball it all together, and you can get close to 1,000 points now with a mostly hero-based.
Yep.
Army, 4 of which of the heroes are hobbits, 2 of which are 10 points each.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really kind of wild.
But you end up also having Strider, Arwen, who's pretty good on a horse, and Tom and Goldberry, which, like, God knows what sort of mad combos you can do with those 4 heroes.
Yeah, free might every turn, and the option to just like switch people off or turn people off.
Both of them singing songs, Sam bringing you free heroic combats, Aragorn, just nuts. So
build a pony, restoring stuff.
Oh yeah, it's great. So like this is, and it's probably one of the ones where it's had a little bit. Its original form was a bit weird, and it's just for the artifact of whatever this strange, like it's slightly strange that they've broken the armies down to be this method. But clearly something's happened, or there's a reason why it had to be done like this. But the original army list was a bit strange. Armies of Middle-Earth has added a little bit, and then the Legacies have added a little bit more.
I think that's actually the main thing for me is, like, why was Road to Rivendell in the Armies of Lord of the Rings? I mean, I know it's because it happens in the movie.
Yes.
But, like, it didn't really need to be.
It could have waited to the third book.
Because you can still take Arwen. Can you take Arwen in the Fellowship?
No.
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 But yeah, like it was a strange kind of placement of it. It could have been in the Armies of Middle-Earth.
And then it probably would have made
no
quite a lot
one
of
would have
sense.
batted an eye.
No.
And it would have made a bit more sense because you'd be like, oh, I can take Tom Bombadil.
Yeah. Why not? But hey,
anyway,
it's how it is. We've kind of got to a nice rounded point where all the lists hopefully feel a lot more fleshed out, and the ones that aren't are because they are a very narrow focus.
I suppose once they chose to split it up, you had to cut their cake somewhere.
Yeah, sure. None of the kind of criteria perfectly fit any of the reasonings, but it is what it is. But we're here. We've got all the army lists. We've pretty much got every faction. We've got every model's got rules, and we've got almost every army list back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Middle-Earth game is a much wider world now.
Which is fantastic to see. I think that's probably more than enough from us. We have been releasing match play and Quest of the Ringbearer videos as we go the last few months. We've been loving the feedback you guys have been giving us, the comments below, which has been really lovely. We have a little Discord channel, which was set up by a friend of the channel, Thomas, and there's a little thriving little community almost now. Like there's quite a few people in there. Good people, you know, sharing paint recipes and psyching each other up for hobby motivation, that sort of thing, which is lovely to see. Yeah, come along, join that. We have all the regular sort of social media bits and bobs. We'll put them on the bottom here, probably. It'll have done my job well. Jules, as an outro, standout legacy profile. What do you think?
There's a lot of good ones.
Put you on the spot.
I think it's the Golden King. I just think he's really funny now.
Yeah, throwing coins at peasants.
Yeah, the ability to just be like, no, don't strike me. It's great. Yeah, like how he might play in a like Harad or Umbar list.
Yep.
He could really kind of mess things up.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, I want to say a Rohan person, but
Of
I
course.
think no, I think Balin, just because I love his model so much,
Yeah, it's a nice
and I
model.
think that his army is distinct enough from the kingdom of Khazad-dûm that it's great to see it back. So that's it for me. With that, we'll leave you. Thank you for watching or listening on Spotify. I've got a nice little Spotify channel, and leave us a like or subscribe or whatever you fancy. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Cheerio.